It's time for a little movie magic brought to you by your friends at AutoTrader, because as you're about to see, the beautiful B-roll of this 2025 Lexus LX 700H doesn't exactly match up with what you are seeing out this driver's side window, and that's because it is absolutely pouring here in the Napa Valley in California, which wasn't the case when the video production team shot all of that footage. Minor detail. The major detail is that number at the end of this vehicle's name, as well as that tiny little H designation. It is a new powertrain and it is hybrid. But if you were expecting this to be a fuel-saving hybrid, you are going to be disappointed. And yes, hybridization can mean performance, but Lexus has built its entire hybrid brand identity on saving gas, and that is not the case here. The foundation, the same as the Lexus LX 600. It's a twin turbocharged 3.4 liter V6, but there is an electric motor that's sandwiched between the engine as well as the 10-speed automatic transmission, and that's where you get that extra boost. Literally an electric kick in the pants, and it is quite substantial. But again, if you are expecting fuel savings, you are not going to find them here. 457 horsepower and 583 pound-feet of torque here versus 409 and 479 with the non-hybrid LX 600. It is a substantial difference. Makes a difference in performance, but again, not fuel consumption, because this thing, it burns 11.7 liters per 100 kilometers combined compared to 12.7 with the non-hybrid setup. And if you take a look at their highway consumption numbers, they are virtually identical. It's something like 10.8 and 10.7 liters per 100 kilometers combined. Again, it's all about performance. It makes the powertrain smoother. Yes, there's a little bit more urgency with the acceleration, but it also helps to make it just a better experience overall. And that's really what this LX is all about. Now, I also want to warn you, yes, it is smooth. Yes, it is comfortable, but it's also smooth and comfortable like a body-on-frame SUV. Don't expect this thing to float around like a luxury sedan, but considering what it is, even out here on this very uneven pavement here in California, it is a super smooth vehicle considering the massive wheels as well as the size and the construction of this SUV. Now, this one I'm driving is sort of a close equivalent to the executive VIP trim that you can get in Canada that used to be available on the Lexus LX 600, and it has now been moved to this more expensive 700H version, and you get all kinds of good stuff. 2-row seating, no third row in this thing, twin captain chairs that are also heated, ventilated, and massaging just like they are up front. It's really supposed to be the one to shuttle around executives, although I will say, I wish Lexus made it a little bit more spacious. This is yet another one of those vehicles where the second row could have been moved further back to create just a little bit more legroom in the back, especially because Lexus likes to talk about this thing as sort of being like a small private jet for the road. Well, you can't really stretch out all that much, especially if you are sitting behind the driver. Now, all versions of the LX get a hydraulic suspension system that's height adjustable. Again, I went over that on-road performance. It's pretty good. Now, the big news. In the States, you can get the Overtrail Plus trim with the non-hybrid version, the LX 600. But in Canada, it is exclusive to this hybrid. It really makes it look rugged. I will say, it doesn't really suit it to me in terms of luxury. If you take a look at this version, it is very luxurious. It looks large, opulent. You can tell exactly what it's trying to convey. With the Overtrail Plus, it looks like an entirely different vehicle and gives it a sort of mainstream look, which doesn't exactly match up with the six-figure asking price. And that again is one of those very important notes, because this hybrid starts at $139,000 before tax in Canada. That does include freight. And then if you want a third row of seats, you're going to pay another couple grand. So it's about $141,000 before tax, which, don't forget, also includes a luxury tax that the federal government applies to any vehicle in Canada above $100,000. So this is a very expensive vehicle that in its off-road trim, well, it's a little at odds with the overall messaging. It's all about the luxury. But if you go with that Overtrail Plus, you are getting all kinds of capability, which has long been the case with the LX. It has always been a very capable vehicle, but Lexus has added some goodies, not just skid plates underneath. There are now front and rear locking differentials, and of course there's high and low range 4-wheel drive. Again, if you need to get over something very serious or through some very sticky mud, this thing has the goods to deliver, and it can still tow 8,000 pounds. All right, so I have swapped the luxury for the adventurous Overtrail Plus version of this LX 700H over some pretty gnarly terrain, very, very rocky. All of this ground clearance with this hydraulic suspension is coming in handy here. The hybrid powertrain, not really being worked all that hard, but that's kind of what you want. It's more so about the kind of chess game that is four-wheeling. I'm sure you can see the vehicle is jostling around quite a bit. It is a big body on frame SUV. It weighs a ton, and the hybrid version is something like 280 pounds heavier than the gas-only LX 600. You don't really feel it though. Even on undulating terrain like this, it's managing itself very well. The revs are staying nice and low. Unsurprisingly, this thing is exceptionally capable, but my question remains, how many LX 700H owners are really going to do this kind of stuff? Would you shell out $139,000 for a vehicle to take it off-road? I'm not so sure, but I'll tell you this much, I'd be pretty impressed if you did. So you've seen it on the road, you've seen it on the trail. Now let's talk about that range-topping executive VIP trim that is loaded with features, but it's also $171,000 before tax in Canada, which is an awful lot of money for any vehicle, let alone one with 4 seats inside. This is a very big vehicle considering its limited occupant capacity, but you know, it is luxurious. It continues on that flagship status for Lexus with this hybrid powertrain as well. Just don't expect it to save you too much at the pumps.